If you would like to support the podcast and get some extra content while you're there, head on over to patreon.com/Severe MMA podcast and sign up. From the rewatch to the Q&A, we will have loads of content every week. So sign up, patreon.com/Severe MMA podcast. And now, here's the podcast. Welcome, everybody. It's episode 343, Nuno Espirito Santo's favourite formation of the Severe MMA podcast. My name is Sean Sheehan, joined today by the Roman Sice of Irish MMA Media, Graham McDonald. About 4 people listening to this will probably get those 2 references, but anyway, we're going to go away with it anyway. So yeah, this is basically our last proper podcast of the year. I appreciate everyone joining in all year. It's been I don't know if it's our biggest year because of the coronavirus actually ruins everything because people are not driving to work and stuff, but it's been a great year for us, especially the last few months. I think last week was our biggest ever week on Spotify, which was absolutely fantastic, and it's absolutely great. So if you haven't clicked to subscribe, if you're just listening to this and you haven't subscribed, as I said, whether you're watching it on YouTube or on Spotify or iTunes or SoundCloud or wherever you're, click the subscribe there. We don't ask for it much or that often. It's free to do it anyway, so do it and spread it around and spread the love as well. So the next 2 weeks, or maybe even 3 weeks, I'm not sure yet, but we're going to have a award show, myself and Graham. That's going to be out I think on the first of the month for Patreon subscribers, and in the second or the first of the year even, and in the second on a Sunday as normal for everyone else. And then on Christmas Day we're going to have myself, Graham and Andrew McGahan are going to be on the podcast to look back at the 10 years of Mixed Martial Arts, Graham's podcast. So he's going to be running the show on that one. We've already recorded that really, really, really fun chat. I think everyone's going to enjoy it. It's brilliant. Andrew did a great job on that one. And then we'll have the 20 ball predictions the week after that as well. So the next 3 weeks in the books.
And we'll review in that podcast. We'll also review your 20 picks from last year.
Sure,
and squabble about which ones are correct.
It's a great squabble to that. So loads of stuff coming up over the next month, and I'm sure we get a few other things as well in the bag. We have Speaker's Corner coming up as well, and all podcasts with Harry. People love those Speaker's Corner podcasts and the Contender podcast as well with Ian. So that's fun. I know you listened to a couple of them there yesterday, actually, Graham. What do you think of them, the Speaker's Corners podcast? They're good, aren't they?
The Speaker's Corner is very good. It's something a little bit different. I think, you and Harry Powell vibe off each other well. And, I listened to about 4 or 5 of them in a row there yesterday. So, that must be saying something good.
Yeah, indeed it is. But anyway, let's, before we get into all the MMA chat, let's give a shout out to our sponsors, Manscaped. Hey fellas, this episode of the Severe MMA podcast is brought to you by our favourite producers of ball trimmers, Manscaped. Join the global leaders in below the waist grooming in leaving 2021 behind and entering 2022 with a clear mind and clean balls. The special offer alert. Use the promo code SEVEREMMA for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. 4 million men already trust Manscaped. Time to join them. 2022 is on its way, and the last thing you want is to be the guy with pubes getting in your way of making this year your best year yet. 2021 sucked, and that's why Manscaped are making a splash and upping your grooming game. The Performance Package 4.0 headlined with our signature Lawnmower 4.0 is here to take down every pube in its path. The Manscaped even engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligently functionality and incredibly comfortable grooming experience. The 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It's waterproof as well, so you can use it in the shower. Don't tell the missus though. Just get that shower head and get it all the way up before anyone finds out.
You can blame her for the hairs blocking the...
Why are you doing that? Say fucking nothing. This tool is amazing, and I'm confident using the 4.0 to leave 2021 and my gross pubes with it also. Also included is the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer to whack every hair up top and feel good while doing it. Also in it, the Crop Reviver, Crop Preserver, Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, Moisturizer and Toner. This A hygienic bundle will also come with the Manscaped anti-chafing boxers that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day. The perfect package for your perfect package. Going into 2022, I'm confident about smelling like a million bucks. You may be asking how, and I'm happy you did. I use the Manscaped Refined Cologne with the same signature scent that's in all of the Manscaped formulas. A great compliment to your collection. So use the code SEVEREMMA for 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com. I'm all in on confident and smelling good this year, this new year even. Join me with Manscaped. That's 20% off with free shipping. Code SEVEREMMA at manscaped.com. 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code SEVEREMMA. Happy New Year to your balls. Right, Graham, let's get directly into the mixed bar. Actually, do you know what? We're coming up to 2022. I remember the day the 2012 Olympics were announced and thinking, oh, that's years away. You know, I was like, that'll never, and they're 10 years past 2012. How did that fucking happen? I actually don't understand this.
It's weird when you're young, like, 1979 or 1982 seems like, when I'm born in 87, so it seemed like so long ago. And now I think, like, Jesus, that was 15 years ago. What the fuck happened?
I heard someone saying the other day, if that 70 show came out today, it'd be like 1997 or something. And I'd be like, what? Yeah. Excuse me? But yeah, I remember those days. But yeah, anyway, but before we get into the fights from last night and stuff, yourself and Andy were down at the Ian Coughlin Charity Day yesterday. And there's a couple of interviews up with Andy Ryan, John Kavanagh, and Johnny Walker as well. Andy did a great job. And I know there was lots of money collected. I think John Kavanagh will probably put out the number. He was kind of saying it in the interview there. At some stage, it'll probably take him a while to tabulate it all. But a great day down there. Lots of stuff going on.
Well, I think it's actually, you had to donate 100 or more to the thing to be let in.
Oh, very good.
So it's up to 66,000 of 73,000 now. And SBG and John are going to auction away one of Connor's the boxing boots he used to train for the Floyd Mayweather bout. So hopefully with that, and he said there's a few t-shirts and other signed items that people can bid on. So yeah, that should hopefully get it over to 73,000 and get Ian Coughlin the money he needs to get over and get that treatment, and hopefully get him walking again as soon as possible. Yeah. Obviously, it's a horrible tragedy, but it's great to see the Irish MMA community come together. We had like Andy Ryan down in SBG and Reds are doing a seminar, and everybody doing their best to give Ian the fighting chance that he deserves. Indeed, and even the people here, that watched the video and signed up, we've donated all that money to the cause as well. It wasn't much, but everyone, chipping in and doing it. And I know loads of people listening to the podcast and stuff signed in as well, or helped out as well. It was absolutely fantastic stuff. And if you haven't yet, go on, you'll find it. It's all over Twitter and everywhere anywhere. The Ian Coughlin GoFundMe. I'll put the description. Let's get Ian walking again. If you type in "let's get Ian walking again" or go to GoFundMe and type that in, it'll come up there. Yeah, I'll put the link in the description here. So whatever you're listening to it, if you look at the description, you'll be able to see it in this podcast as well. So, but yesterday down there, it was a good guy. I know Kieran Davern was doing a display, and John Kavanagh and Owen Roddy and all the different lads. Good day, just milling around, being around with the lads. Good chats around there as well, I suppose. Yeah. Johnny Walker was doing a striking class. We grabbed him for an interview as well, and it was good to see everybody come together. And John was saying in the interview that like some people even donated €100 or more and couldn't even make it, but we're in a different country or like we're busy. So yeah, it's great to see everybody supporting, and hopefully this will give Ian a boost to keep fighting. And obviously the fingers crossed that when we do when it does get to the 73,000, that obviously the treatment is successful and all. I think everybody in the Irish MMA community and the wider MMA community is pulling for Ian. Like when we put up the interview with Andy, I sent around a few tweets and stuff to people like Ariel saying, "Oh, can you retweet this?" And everybody was straight away like supporting and all. So it's great to see. And we just got to be positive. Ian's just got to be positive and just take every day as it comes. And it's obviously a terrible situation, but he's a fighter, so hopefully he can get walking again in the new year. Yeah, 100%. Like this is. It's a sort of thing that happens in every sport, and it was bound to happen. I'm sure it's happened before in MMA as well, but we've seen it down through the years in rugby and, in soccer and other sports as well, as John Kavanagh said in that interview. And,
those people that, you know, they get behind theirs and we have to get behind ours as well. And I think it's important really that, like, we have this small community and, you know, we bicker at each other and we hate each other. And even, you know, John Kavanagh was saying himself and Andy are fierce rivals on a Saturday night. But when something like this happens, you know, you come together, and if it was, you know, if it was one of us or one of them or whoever it might have been, you'd hope they would come together as well. And, you know, people do, and they're absolutely fantastic. And fair play to everyone. You know, myself and Harry did a podcast actually the other day on MMA fandom. I think it's already gone out. And, you know, a lot of the times online we see MMA fans, and there's a lot of abuse and there's a lot of giving out and running, even from us and me or whatever. But under it all, MMA fans are very good. They're good people. They're nice people. They enjoy their sport. You know, they put a lot of effort into it. They put a lot of time into it, and they're good people. And, you know, if you need help, they'll fucking help you out. And I think that this has shown that, and other things as well down through the years have absolutely shown it. So fair play to, you know, fair play to the community. People rag on MMA fans enough. I don't try to do it that often, to be honest, because I've kind of seen this before and heard it before, but I think we're a great bunch altogether, and fair play, and this sort of thing shows. And as you said, hopefully Ian can get over the line, get that treatment, and get him back walking again. I know it's a long road, whether it works or whether it, you know, whatever happens, but you know, it'll be maybe a little bit easier with everyone helping out. So fair play to everyone as well there. And as I said, keep giving. Keep, if you haven't done it yet, it's not too late. You know, there's still, the most important steps, I suppose, are to go to get over that line and to get over to the 72 grand. So, if you could help out now, it would be absolutely perfect. One thing I want to talk about, you know, from the interviews yesterday, there was a lot of stuff, you know, John was talking about, you know, I suppose to move on to the MMA side of it. John was talking a little bit about McGregor versus Oliveira. You know, we had the Jamal Hill versus Johnny Walker thing, which I thought was very funny. Johnny Walker replying to the tweet, I don't want to talk about that. It's not signed yet. I was like, well, you've already done the interview, Johnny.
Well, in the interview, he didn't even say it was signed. He said there was talk of it. And that was what John said as well. So, yeah, I think maybe, I don't know, he's a bit worried that the UFC might jump down his throat, maybe.
Oh, God, there's a lot of that recently with fights and things. But, did you see John talking about the IMAF stuff? You know, like, you're better off going to the IMAFs, doing it the right way. We're talking about Kieran Clark this year, than doing like the local scene and having fights every weekend and stuff, which is, I think it's an interesting debate. Maybe a debate for,
well, it's kind of both. I think you kind of start on the kind of Irish scene, and then once you've kind of established yourself on the amateur scene, then you can kind of go to the IMAF. So I took that from what he was saying. I don't think he was like, don't bother doing the Irish scene. I think it was like, you know, you need to go to the IMAFs and fight the kind of top amateurs in the world before turning pro. I think was more what he was saying.
Well, yeah, I suppose I don't think he did say that, but I think you have to do that. So, like, I'm not going to say he didn't say it, but I actually agree with him on most of what he said. Like, I think this thing about, like, you know, he said, people being handed belts at amateurs and thinking they're some sort of champion, and then thanking their sponsors and having their t-shirt and stuff. That's the thing that I think a lot of people, a lot of people like John have said down through the years, and I think it's very, very true. Like, I think if you're an amateur MMA fighter, you should be an amateur MMA fighter. You know, you should do it to learn your trade, to move up, to get to become a pro, and then start all of that, you know? I would 100% agree with what he said there. The thing with, like, just the IMAF way, like, Ian Gary didn't come through the IMAFs. He's our best prospect that's come through in a long, long time. Others did. I think it's different for everyone, but I don't think if it says IMAF, if it says Cage Legacy, if it says Clan Wars on it, as long as you're getting fights, I think fight. Look at Shauna Bannon this year. She did both. I think she was in the IMAFs and then she went into the other place. Max Lally is doing lots of fights all over the place. All the amateurs come through. I think with the scene kind of coming back now with Cage Legacy, but non-fights, there's loads of fights up in the north. Seems like there's fights up in the north every week. Get your fights. Get loads of fights. As everyone always says, it doesn't matter.
Treat it like jiu-jitsu nearly, just like hop into any tournament you can, basically.
Yeah, and maybe we can speak about Dean Barry now as well, I suppose, but I think experience is just a massive thing in MMA and an underrated thing in MMA. Like, if you're given the opportunity to get experience, get it. It's not that easy to get fights. Like, you don't need a fucking 6-month camp or a 4-month camp to have an amateur fight. You know, you're not getting paid for this. It doesn't go on your record. If you lose, you lose. You could have it, you know, you might lose by submission or you might lose a decision. Have another fight in 2 weeks' time. You might win that one and you might win 5 or 6 in a row. Over the space of a year or 2 years, you might be good enough to go pro. Like, that is what the amateur game should be. If you're a pro, okay, different story. Put your camps in, you're getting paid. It makes a big difference. But I would agree with what John said on that part of his own. I think it's a big thing in MMA. And we looking at the amateurs this year, doing the awards and everything like that. And Cuilcha did a fantastic job for us. And since he's come on with Severe MMA, I think that scene has been covered so much better. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job. So fair play. If you're not following Cuilcha de Barra over on Twitter and following the stuff that's gone up on Severe MMA with him, you definitely should be, and keeping an eye on the people who are, the next wave and on the way up. So,
if you go to the navigation bar at the top of the homepage, severemma.com, there's an events there with just Irish events, and Cuilcha's been updating the previews and the cards and the results and all. So I know that page has been dormant for a few years before, but anybody who used to use it and grew tired of refreshing it and never seeing an update, well, you might see some updates now.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about Dean Barry before we move in. We're on Irish MMA. We might as well stick on Irish MMA for a second. He had a win at the weekend. Look, his opponent, everyone knows he was supposed to fight was a Hugo Pereira, who's 8-4. Dean is 3-1. Absolutely nothing wrong with that matchmaking. A little bit tough even, maybe, over in Titan. He was supposed to fight Mike Jackson in the UFC. Dean says that, he didn't have enough fights and they wouldn't sanction him. I don't believe that, to be honest, because there's people being sanctioned with that same amount of fights. Maybe he would have had to go to File Island or something.
Or maybe the UFC are telling them that.
Maybe,
just fobbing them off.
Go in there and get a few more fights. This one doesn't seem to be happening. But he went out and he got, Hugo Pereira fell out of the fight. Had like a week to find someone else. The only guy they could find was a Can, who I think it was what was his record? 5-27 or something like that. So the guy came out, went for a double, an ankle pick, kind of took Dean down a bit, and Dean just hit him with 3 or 4 short shots. The guy turtled up and lost. Look, the fight itself, it was a complete mismatch, overmatch. Dean was always going to win it. This guy, he came in to lose and he lost, and that was that. But I loads of people are criticising it and everything, and you can criticise the fight if you want, no problem. But from Dean Barry's point of view, right, this guy's been looking for a fight for ages. He was supposed to fight in the UFC against Mike Jackson. No, he's supposed to fight in the UFC first out in File Island. It didn't happen. Then he was supposed to fight against Mike Jackson. It didn't happen. There was visa issues and all that. Then he was supposed to fight him again. I think Mike Jackson got injured, and then all of this stuff happened with he's the only guy you can fight in the UFC, you're going to have to get a fight somewhere else. He went over to Florida to fight in Titan, was it Puerto Rico or somewhere to fight in Titan? That fight fell out. Then he came back to Ireland, left his gym, then went and trained in Sanford MMA for a while. His opponent pulled out. What did you expect? Did you expect him to say, no, I'm not fighting that guy because his record isn't good enough? In fairness now, you have to look at this context. It's been 18 months of setback after setback after setback for Dean Barry. He needed to get a fight under his belt. He got a fight under his belt. And you can't, if you criticize him for that too much, I think you're looking beyond it. Also, he's only 3-1. In his career. He needs experience. I talked about experience earlier on. He hasn't fought that much. He's been a pro for a good while now. He fought Anthony Taylor back in Bama, it feels like about 5 years ago. He needs experience. He needs wins on his record. Okay, you want a better opponent. Maybe get Hugo Pereira the next time and move on to 5-1. But look, in the best case scenario, you wouldn't want this matchup, but we had the worst case scenario right here, right now. And Dean Barry took the fight, and I'm not going to criticize him for it. And I think people need to calm down. Well, what do you think of the whole situation, Graham?
Yeah, I think it's not his fault at all. I don't know why people would be criticizing him. He went in, signed a fight contract to fight a different guy. It fell apart. He, said he wanted to still fight. The promotion wanted him to still fight, and this is the guy the promotion got. So he went in there and finished him. Obviously, it's not, it shows us nothing new about Dean or anything like that, but he's had, as you said, it's been a hard, just because he signed for the UFC doesn't mean everything's rosy. It's been a hard couple of years for him. He probably needed a bit of a payday as well. You can't forget about that. There's a lot of stuff going on in his life, and he hasn't been fighting, which is his main source of income, I'm sure. So he's obviously not going to, like, the criticism would have been way more justified if he had have pulled out of the fight and refused to fight that guy. I think people would have been more up in arms and would have had more reason to be. So it's just a no-win situation. For you're going to be criticised either way, but in my opinion, there's no criticism for him. He went in and did his job, and the promotion wanted to put on a different fight. He signed to fight a different guy, and these things happen in MMA where you scrape together a last minute opponent, whoever you can get, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Also, as well, before we move on maybe to the UFC stuff, it was reported by ourselves. We reported it this week, and I think PT as well broke the news first around the same time. Liam McCourt and Sinead Kavanagh it's not official yet. It's a weird one. Look, I think Leah put up something there last night on Instagram. Was like, I'll let the people talk or whatever. So I don't know whether that means like it's not happening or whether it is happening or what. But look, I believe we wouldn't be reporting it unless we had sources saying it's going to happen.
Yeah, Bellator are looking to make it happen, but all sources say.
Also, Bellator PR, their official PR Twitter put it out and said that, and they retweeted my tweet where I said the fight's happening. So you can take from that it, that they're definitely targeted. They're looking at an official Bellator page just put it out there. So look, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But they're 100% definitely targeted. I know contracts have been sent and signed, mostly. So it'll be look, to me, I was a little bit surprised that it did happen. I know a lot of people, especially involved in it, thought it was inevitable. John was asked about it by Andy, wasn't he? He said it was kind of inevitable as well. And I'm a bit surprised they all thought it was inevitable. I thought they would have kind of avoided each other and everything. And I've been a guy down through the years who's been very much in favour of Irish people fighting. And I know that's probably because I was kind of adjunct to the Irish scene for a long time, I suppose. But I don't know. It just feels like I know they've trained together before. They're not training partners as such. Leah was with SBG Charleston. I believe she's not there anymore. She's back with Team Torres now and training other places. And Sinead is official SBG HQ under John Kavanagh. So look, it's two ladies from the similar part of the world with similar rankings in the exact same division fighting each other. It's going to be one hell of a fight. Like this should be main event, really. I think. I know that the world title fight is there and all, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it should have been on another card as the main event in Ireland or something. I don't know. Maybe not. But it's a bit of an odd fight. I thought they'd, especially with Leah, right? Because Leah is ranked number 4 in the world, I think, right now at the moment. Cyborg doesn't have that many challengers, and I know Leah's not there yet. She probably said that herself. She's a year, 2 years away, and 5 or 6 wins away from being ready to even challenge Cyborg. Never mind beat her. But she's ranked number 4 in the world. There aren't that many people. She should be probably, if you're Bellator, you should be lining up Leah McCourt to fight Cyborg. By putting her in there with Sinead Kavanagh, who just beat Cyborg, who is, I would say, a bad matchup for Leah. Now, Leah, as well in ways, could be a bad matchup for Sinead, because this is very much the grappler versus striker matchup. We all know that. But it just feels a bit odd from Bellator's point of view. I don't know. What do you think of the fight? I've gone on and just meandered there on different thoughts, but what do you think of it?
Yeah, well, usually I am against, Irish guys or Irish gals fighting each other outside of kind of very early on in their career as an amateur. No problem with that. But, thinking about it, if it is in the 3 arena and, we'll have like kind of half the arena or whatever on one side and half the arena on the other side, and it does bring back good memories of old like cage contenders and things like that. So, it's going to be some atmosphere and stuff if it does happen. But I've said over podcasts with you in the previous months and years about Liam McCourt kind of taking it slow, and this definitely isn't taking it slow. Sinead's just coming off a title shot, and it's a difficult fight for Leah. I think with a few more fights, it might be a fight that she could win, be more likely to win than she is now. So I think this is. If this does happen, this is a difficult fight for Leah, but she definitely has methods of victory. But yeah, I don't really like when Irish fight Irish at this stage of their careers, but you know, with the Bellator division not being that deep, and you know, I can understand why Bellator are doing it, and you know, the more it sinks in, the less I'm kind of like, I wish this doesn't happen. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how it looks and what happens in the fight.
I think as the fight comes closer, and as we think about, you know, Leah versus Sinead, the fighter Leah versus the fighter Sinead, I think we'll all be kind of looking forward to it. It's just when we think about the person.
The initial kind of like, oh, somebody's going to lose here. Like,
because it's weird. I was, you know, above a Bellator last day. And I remember I came out of the elevator one stage and I met Leah and I was talking to her for 3 or 4 minutes or whatever. I was rushing to get out to a media day or whatever. And then, like, at the end of the media day, Sinead was there and I was talking to her for maybe 10 minutes or something. It's like, oh, it's weird. It's just, it's weird. I don't know. We don't usually get into a situation where there's like people we know and have known for years. And okay, we're not best friends with them or anything, but, you know, I don't know. It's just a bit odd. It's just, and we don't find ourselves in this situation very much. I know when we have in the past, I suppose, you know, it's a situation like it's Queally versus Miles Bryce where they kind of hate each other and, you know, one's a rat and, you know, or it's Joe McColgan and the SPG hunter and, you know, there's a rivalry there. But this one, it feels like there's no rivalry and I don't know. But by the time it comes, I think we'll all be looking forward to the fight. And it's great. It's great. You know, it's great that Irish MMA has come this far, that we have 2 women right at the very time for women's MMA in Ireland as well. It's absolutely fantastic that we have 2 women this brilliant in Irish MMA. And, you know, from Aisling Daly coming up and Danny Nealon on her way up and Shauna Bannon on her way up as well and Dee Begley and Kia O'Sullivan and everyone else. It's a fantastic time for Irish MMA and women's MMA in Ireland as well. And, yeah, I you know, what more can I say? You know, we might as well, while we're on it, we might as well speak about the Bellator Dublin card altogether. Now, there's a big issue here as well. And I suppose we have to start it with this, that the card was announced, and then 12 hours later, the government restrictions changed where indoor events can only have 1,000 people. Indoor events the size of the one in the Tree Arena anyway. And that's gone up until, I believe, the middle of January. Now, I'm no fucking virologist or numerical expert or anything like that, but by the sounds of the way things are going with this Omicron, that they're thinking the numbers are going to be at their biggest by then, and then maybe come down as we go into February. If they're at their biggest by then, they're probably going to extend this lockdown kind of, or restrictions by another while. Bellator is in the 25th of February. I would think it would be very, very, very touch and go whether this happens. I would suggest it won't happen, to be honest, if I was to bet, to be honest, but I would suggest it won't happen with full crowds anyway. If Bellator would like to do it with 1,000 or with half the crowds, I think they could do it, but I'm not sure they're going to actually want to do that. So, yeah, with these newfound restrictions and all, I think it'll be touch and go as a card. What would your call be in a Graham? Do you think that the event will actually happen because of these change restrictions? Everything, I know, as I said, they're going to middle of January at the moment, but then the numbers could be massive by then. I don't know.
It's just impossible to know, really. Like trying to predict when this like kind of pandemic is going to rear its head and when it's not is just impossible. Basically, you know, you'd hope that by, you know, end of February it'll be lifted, but you know, if they were to extend it for another month after that, which is, you know, they've done in the past, then it would put it in serious jeopardy, and people flying into the country and, you know, trying to quarantine and all this stuff is just it could get very messy. So I think we just got to wait and see. I just don't think there's any way of knowing, really. Yeah,
I would tend to agree with that. I suppose though the card we do have Mousasi versus Vanderford. I'm kind of surprised that's happening in Dublin, to be honest. Wouldn't be one that would get me to travel to Dublin.
Mike Hayes versus DJ Linderman, where there's nobody left.
Yeah, it could be. I think
Mousasi has a bit more pull than that, but it might not be that extensive of a walkout.
Because Mousasi and Vanderford's fights recently aren't exactly the most blow-away fights in the world.
But Mousasi does have a bit of a name, you know.
He does. He fought in Belfast as well, didn't he, in that one? And yeah, it's a fight like, let's keep that fight for somewhere else. Let's give us maybe a better fight. I know, like, I think it's, these Bellator tournaments, I'm pretty sure they have to be on in America. But they really should have given a few of them fights. Put the Gallagher fight on it. You know, put maybe a Horiguchi fight on it, or a Patchy Mix fight. You know, Patchy Mix was fought in Ireland the last time. I think it'd be smart to maybe put him back on it again. I don't know, but I know they probably can't do that. But yeah, it's a bit weird. I also think the Queally versus Ken Musa fight is just senseless to me. Like, you have Queally, he's this big star. Give him a name, like, give him someone in the ranking. Give him a Benson Henderson or someone, like, I don't know. To me, it's just senseless. Like, it's a good fight. I think it'll actually be a good fight and all that. And, you know, you get the Queally walkout and he'll probably be favoured to win it. But, come on, you can't fight Patricky twice and then go and fight Ken Musa. Like, I don't know. It's just, look, the last time Bellator came, and maybe they gave the matchmaking a bit too hard, and at least in the Leah versus Sinead one, there's a guaranteed Irish winner there. so they'll have a few Irish winners.
Now we know what they're thinking.
What they're thinking, oh yeah. So, I don't know.
If it ends up a draw.
It ends up a draw, yeah. Could do it, could. But I'm complaining about a world title fight in Ireland. I can't complain too much, I suppose. But yeah, I don't think it'll happen anyway. So I you know, it's weird. I was going to do a break.
It's good that Bellator, though, are, you know, looking at what John kind of hinted at, they were kind of back and forth about whether they're going to do one show or two shows. So it's good that they're kind of at least trying, pandemic and coronavirus permitting, to keep to two shows a year, which is great for Irish MMA.
And what John said about they were going to do September and then they changed their minds, that's 100% true. I had heard that. I think I might have mentioned it somewhere, but yeah, that was 100% true. And they changed their mind kind of last minute to do another one. But yeah, it might backfire. But maybe move this card to the summer. It's probably maybe a bit wiser. But yeah, we'll see what happens with all of that anyway down through the years. I know Dara Kelly's on the card as well. He's fighting Jordan Barton. And there's someone else on it as well. So, yeah, you'd love to see all the usual suspects on that card. Maybe get a couple of the Rhino guys on it. Maybe there's a couple of Team KF guys and lads from up the north as well you'd love to see on it. Let's do that. Yeah, see how it goes. Anyway, right, let's get to the UFC. We'll talk about KSW as well, the top two fights. I want to talk about Wonderboy first of all, because, okay, it was obviously very disappointing that for me as a big Wonderboy stan, that it's like the ghost of Stephen Thompson here. He's not the same fighter he once was. But Jesus, this fight was just so bad. Like this anti-fighting,
Do you think it was definitely you know, it was definitely a well implemented game plan, but you know the ease with which he took down, you know, Wonderboy, got in on his hips even, like, and just Wonderboy just seemed a little bit more disinterested to me. He didn't seem as motivated. Maybe he just seemed to accept it, like, maybe this isn't going to happen. Yeah, which is you know, I know he's getting on in age and all, but he says after the fight he still has title aspirations. But to me, you know, he didn't look the same. And obviously, you said the ghost of we said the ghost of Anderson Silva in the past, and we're saying the ghost of Wonderboy here. But I think, you know, he might be slowing down a bit, but to me, I think it seemed to be more than that. It seemed to be just accepting the position on the ground and maybe not, you know, not wanting it as much as maybe he did in the past. And maybe I'm misreading that, you know.
You're right.
Yeah, it kind of contradicts what he says after the fight about still having title aspirations, but you know, he definitely didn't look at himself in.
The dog doesn't like it. The dog doesn't like it. Yeah. You know, the dog that
it's a sad day for everyone when the Wonder Boy's looking like an OAP.
It is Wonder Man. You know, Jack Black will have to write that new song. It'll be fucking Wonder Granddad soon. But yeah, he definitely didn't look the same. Anyone who's watched Wonderboy over the last 6 or 7 years knows the way he fights and knows what he looks like when he's at his best. And that wasn't it. Like, we all know that. They're like, Belal Muhammad's a very good fighter, an underrated fighter, but someone the level of Belal Muhammad 5 years ago wouldn't be near doing that to someone like Wonderboy. And look, we forget as well, he's had lots of fights down through the years, in kickboxing, bouts. I know you'll probably correct me. He's a lot of wear and tear in that body. He's older as well. Like, and it's you know, time waits for no one. And we've seen this coming over the last while. You know, the Gilbert Burns fight wasn't great. You know, when you get knocked out to Anthony Pettis like that, it's probably the start of it. He's looked good since, you know, in fights in between. You know, he fought Luke and other guys and beat him. But yeah, it's it's sad. Look, Wonderboy is built on speed, on movement. The biggest thing I thought, and I agree with you, look, he got into positions on the ground where he could have burst out of him, got to a hip, pushed away, or pushed the head down when Muhammad was against the cage against him, and you know,
no urgency,
no urgency at all. I thought the biggest problem though was the lack of urgency on the feet. Like, he looked like Anthony Pettis in there, and that's the worst thing I could say about him. Like, he was getting backed up to the cage, taken down. Where's the sideways movement?
Well, his corner's screaming at him, like, don't let him push you back, don't let him push you back, and he's just not listening. He's
the greatest fighter we've ever seen to fight off the cage, and he couldn't do it once last night. Not once. Like, that's just not Wonderboy. That is not him. And the small cage absolutely did not help. And Belal Muhammad did a fantastic job of getting straight in there and cutting off the cage and not letting him. You know, Belal took the fight away from him, but Wonderboy, he
made Belal Muhammad's wrestling and grappling look like fucking husbands.
Exactly. There wasn't a second where Belal Muhammad had to even like think about, oh, this is going to be a bit hard. It was hard for Wonderboy for the whole fight. It was easy for Belal Muhammad for the whole fight, basically. You know, it was not the Wonderboy, you know, and whether it's a lack of motivation, whether it's him getting old, it doesn't matter. That's just the fact of the matter. And look, fair play to Belal. He did what he did, but I think when you meet a Wonderboy who is like that bad looking, you have to finish him, you know, to be Belal and to put yourself in that next position. And he didn't. He almost did towards the end of the second round, but I don't know. Just like Belal was getting in positions on top and he was just laying there. And I think at the 2 minute mark of round 2, or like 2 minutes and 6 seconds, for about 10, 12 seconds there, he was throwing these little punches, and I was like, this is not good enough, lad. You're going to have to do something else. Like, oh, God. We need as well in MMA, and I think this is a big thing, and this is something I'm going to be beating the drum of, like judging for the years to come. We need MMA to adjust the rules to make action the most important thing. We cannot let lads sit there in a Kimura for 3 fucking minutes. If a Kimura is not there, or a straight armbar, or whatever it might be, if a guy's laying on top, whether it's fucking mount, side control, whatever it is, and he does nothing for 2.5, 3 minutes, we need to move that position. We need to stand him up. We need to get this fight going, because MMA needs it. Like, MMA, because it's becoming so good in terms of technique and tactics and all of that, it's becoming a more predictable, more boring sport. We need to stop that.
But then if you do put limits on like kind of how long you get on the ground or whatever, then people are just going to hold on, like Dustin Poirier tried to do to Oliveira, and just try to nullify, and that's going to be really boring in itself. And then, you know, Oliveira shoots in another takedown and the same thing happens where Poirier holds on, for example, and that's just the fucking fight then.
Yeah, but that's going to happen. Like, I don't know. Why does the bottom fighter or the top fighter get that nullification advantage? Like, if anyone's nullifying it, we need to stop that. Like, Belal Muhammad was on top yesterday, just nullifying the fight for long periods. Like, he was throwing shots. He wasn't up for long periods. It was, and like at the end of the first round, he threw a lot of shots. They were kind of 90% blocked by the gloves. 100%. Wonderboy. 100%. There was definitely times he was doing it. I'm not saying he was doing it for 15 minutes full stop. I'm not saying that at all. But there's times when you have 2 to 3 minutes of just nothing happening in the fight. There's no, and Bisping was saying about a 10. I didn't think there was any 10-8s in this fight, to be honest. I know a few judges gave him. Oh my God, it was. Well, in the first round, Wonderboy kind of stunned him on the feet very early on, a little bit, I thought, and then obviously it went really downhill after that for pretty much the rest of the fight, barring like a few moments in the third round. But like, I think when you bring in like things like that, people are just going to find a way around it just to make it, you know, just to hold on and just make it boring, and you know. But that's what we have now. But like, we have scramble. Like, I know Wonderboy, and like the fight is a bad example because he didn't really try to create scrambles even. You know, Belal Muhammad was probably expecting him if he tried to pass the mount or tried to pass the side control to hip out or to try something. But I don't think Wonderboy would have. He was just kind of, you know, happy enough, it seemed, to be there and not to try and get up. I don't know what was going on there. Maybe he's carrying an injury or something. But yeah, I think I prefer them to let them fight it out, unless it's just gotten ridiculous, where it's just a guy, you know, not even trying to
to advance position or land shots. But I think Bilal Muhammad did just enough, like, to be honest.
I think the biggest problem is we are letting it get ridiculous before we're breaking them up. I think letting it get ridiculous is too much. We've already gone too far in. Like, and it's not just on the ground. I think there should be more warnings on the feet as well if people are not hitting each other. Now, we don't see that often because there's usually either both people are landing or one guy is landing or whatever, so we don't see it as much. And it's a lot harder to stall on the feet, I suppose. So it might sound like I'm anti-wrestling or whatever, but I'm not. If you have Habib's style, where you're landing massive shots and you're dominating someone, or like a Charles Oliveira, where you're landing those big elbows, you're going for submissions, no problem. I love the ground game. The ground game's brilliant. But when you're doing fucking nothing for ages, and I think as well, the biggest problem is, right, we have this love with positions. Like the mount, or if you're in if you're in a rear naked choke, or if you're holding on to a submission or something like that, like, we cannot change that position. That's sacrosanct. I think we need to leave that behind. Like, if you're not finishing the fucking choke within the first 4 minutes, you're not, it's not going to finish.
Do you think we have enough good refs that can actually judge the situation and not, completely fuck it up when guys are close to finishes? Do you really? Because like the award-winning best ref of the year is Herb Dean.
Yeah, he's rubbish. But you get Mark Goddard in there, you get Jason Herzog, you get Keith Peterson in there. There's 3 refs. They can do every fight every night. Let's do that. That's perfect.
Yeah, but just in the UFC, you're going to have different rules to everywhere else in MMA.
No, but you can, like, there's enough refs. Like, there's enough refs around the place. Fly lads in from outside, there's some very good referees around here in the UK and Ireland and Europe as well. I think, like, refs and judges and stuff should be flown in so we can have the best in the world at all these different events. Like, I've no problem with that. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe this is just the thing that I'm, caught on it. It's not just because it's Wonderboy as well. This is the thing I've been talking about for a while, and I think it's really important to the sport. I think it's really, really important to the sport. But anyway, we'll leave it behind. Maybe it's a longer discussion for another day. Maybe on Speaker's Corner even, it's one here. But anyway, let's talk about the main event. God almighty, talking about bad performances. Chris Daukaus just got in there striking with Derek Lewis for 3.5 minutes and then getting knocked out. God almighty, I don't know. Like,
looked like he was trying to do some Steven Seagal shit at the very start or something with his hand.
What the fuck he was doing? Didn't even bother going for a takedown at any stage. I actually thought Derek looked very good. Although, when Daukaus was kicking his leg, like, Derek Lewis is a bit like myself. He's a big man, but he's a bit soft, like, I think if he got kicked 5 or 6 more times in that leg, there wasn't much coming back from it. He threw a right hand at one stage and it was miles off. So I think he could have kept kicking him in that leg, but he just didn't. And God almighty, this wasn't a great performance from Chris Daukaus, and I picked him. I thought he'd win, so I respect him and I respect his game a lot, but not to go for one takedown, not to keep kicking that leg, and to get knocked out by Derek Lewis in that fashion. Like, okay, to get knocked out by Derek Lewis, most people do get knocked out by Derek Lewis, and we have to respect Derek. He's gone over and above, I think, where both of us ever thought he'd go, so fair play to him. But yeah, this was a card with some fantastic performances, which you get to in a second. I thought Lewis was even one of them, and Bilal as well in ways was one of them, but then Wonderboy and Daukaus, God almighty, what did you think of the main event? Was that your thoughts on it as well, or was it just me?
I don't know if Dawkins came in scared of the power of Lewis, or he got hit with like a small shot early that kind of made him feel the power more than maybe it looked on the TV, and he was just like, oh shit, because he looked afraid. I don't know what he was doing. That definitely couldn't have been the game plan. I think probably either was afraid of the power or he felt the power and just didn't react well. He fought scared, I think. Like, obviously Lewis is a vicious puncher, and when he smells blood, and as you heard, he really comes with some huge haymaker combinations, and they would take anybody out. But before that, I think he looked really uncomfortable out there. Daukaus looked really uncomfortable out there, and was basically just afraid of the power of Lewis, and basically froze in the fight, and just didn't do anything that he was most likely training to do.
Yeah, and like I spoke about this fight beforehand and said, like, if Chris Daukaus wins this, he puts himself in line to be like the next in line after the Ganya, Ngannou, John Jones triangle gets sorted out. But now the fact that he's lost this, you know, and Derek Lewis has won it. Derek's only lost to Gagne in his last 6 fights. You know, he's beaten Blades, beaten Ollie.
And he knocks it. He's got the knockout record now as well, which is, you know, obviously a good selling point as well. And like Derek Lewis, even casual MMA fans, they remember at least one or two big Derek Lewis knockouts. And, you know, he's obviously slimmed down a bit and become a bit more solid. We kind of discussed it in the past. Maybe that's not good for him, but, you know, this is a big win for Derek Lewis.
Yeah, I thought he looked great, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, it took a bit of time maybe to kind of, I don't know, develop his game. Adjust his game. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Adjust his game to this. But if this performance is anything to go by, and maybe it isn't because of how Chris Dawkins fought, but Derek Lewis, like, you know, he's like, wouldn't rule him out at all, especially at heavyweight. Like, you never know what could happen. Like, if he went in there against anybody and lands a couple of them big haymakers, it's night. Yeah,
I agree. And like, I do think as well that they're not maybe mutually exclusive, the performances of both guys, obviously, in the same fight. But I think it was a bad performance and a good performance. You know, bad by Dawkins, good by Lewis. And he looked brilliant. I thought he looked really, really good. Even that switch kick he threw a high kick at one stage. Look fit, look up for it. You know, it'd be easy as well for a guy who just lost to Gagne. You know, his title aspirations are gone, you know, but in heavyweight, you know, you're one win away and we're already talking about it again. That's just what heavyweight is. It could have been easy for him to phone it in, but he fucking didn't. And he came prepared, he came ready, and he got a brilliant knockout. So all credit to Derek Lewis. And, you know, maybe I shouldn't have started off by criticising Dawkins, although I think he deserves criticism. But Derek Lewis definitely deserves more plaudits than any criticism for Dawkins. So fair play to him. Other than that, I caught up with the rest of the card. I went to bed last night. My sleeping pattern's back to normal, so I said I'd watch it in the morning. I watched this whole main card in the space of about an hour and a half, or less even. And you know what? It was very good, very enjoyable. I enjoyed the card an awful lot.
Yeah, without the pacing of like ad after ad and promo.
God, it's brilliant. So much any of it. It was brilliant. Angela Hill versus Lemos. I thought this was the best performance of Angela Hill's career. I thought she was
I thought she won the second and third.
Did you? I had it for Lemos, to be honest. I thought she landed a little bit more shots. I did think Hill won the second. I think the third was close, but I just think Lemos landed the little bit clearer, more concise shots. But it was close, you know, a split decision. I know one judge had a 30-27 Lemos, which I wouldn't necessarily disagree with either. I think the second was close, but I would give it to Hill.
Second round, yeah, no, I think the second round, I definitely gave for Hill. The third round is the one where, like, this could go either way, but I did think Hill, you know, not much happened in terms of huge impactful strikes, and I thought Hill did enough, but it was one of them ones where you're like, oh, this could go either way. And when I heard 30-27, I was like, oh.
This third round as well had a very interesting bit, and you know, the judging aficionados out there. There was a spinning kind of elbow by Hill at one stage, where I think it was with about 30 seconds left, and Lemos fell, but then got straight back up.
Popped straight back up. Yeah. That is the sort of one, right, where if you're a judge in that situation, right, and you're saying, did that land? Did she stumble? Was it kind of like a shoulder and she kind of fell down? What was it? You probably didn't see it land if you're at a certain angle. When you're the judge in that position, you look at Lemos's reaction, you look at the impact it had on her. And when you saw Lemos, if anyone's going back watching this and you're thinking if it didn't land, forget about that. Look at the next 5 seconds afterwards. Lemos got back up. She looked like nothing happened.
Looked like nothing happened whatsoever. So if you're a judge and that one strike, if Lemos had wobbled around, I probably would have been given this 29-28 Hill. Everyone else
probably would have been. Or if she even had started backing away or anything like that.
Yeah, so that reaction, I think, won Lemos this fight. I honestly do. That one reaction to that one shot, I think won her this fight. And that's a very, very kind of intricate piece of judging, I think. But the big judges and the best judges will look at that, and I think we'll score it that way. But very, very close fight. That front kick to the face earlier by Lemos was beautiful. For Hill to fight back from that, she was putting on the pressure, landing the better shots at lots of stages, because Lemos was just looking for that one big shot, and she wasn't finding it for large stages, and Hill was jabbing her up and doing different things. I thought Hill looked absolutely phenomenal here, and you know, in the past we've talked about Hill as well maybe being a little bit overrated, but you know, I don't think I can call her overrated anymore after this performance, but she doesn't always give these performances as well at the same time. You know, valiant effort in defeat against someone who's 11-1 now and is moving up through that division. So good stuff from both of them. Very, very good fight. I enjoyed that an awful lot. Didn't read Ricky Simon versus Rafael Assunção. My biggest takeaway from this was Ricky Simon came out and kicked him right in the dick. Completely, and I'll say this without any hesitation, a completely on purpose kick in the dick. He just came right up through the middle and punted him right in the fucking Johnson. Like, this was the most obvious. And Chris Ioanni's like, oh no, he didn't mean it. We all know, he knows, we all know he didn't mean it. He did fucking mean it. How can you come out after 1 second and fucking punt the lad right in the balls? Like, this, what did you, I know you're usually on my side of this argument and this one, Gray. What did you think? I thought it was awful.
Yeah, I think he probably did do it on purpose, but I think, I've said it before, if the refs are going to let you get away with a foul or two,
fair play to Ricky side.
Why not take it? Like, it's kind of like in soccer, like, if your centre forward goes out and kicks somebody in the first 2 minutes of a big game, the ref's not going to send them off.
Yeah, that's true. So we've seen it down through the years, and Paul Scholes used to be the master of it. He used to tackle a lad, and everyone's like, "Oh, Paul Scholes can't tackle." But yeah,
Paul Scholes can't tackle. He's absolute filth bag.
Yeah, but Paul Scholes could tackle brilliantly. He just chose in the first 10 minutes of the fight of the match not to be able to tackle very well. He used to leave a marker on people in every single game. How many times?
Who was actually the master at it? David Batty. He actually managed to never get sent off. Like, I think he might get sent off once at the end of his career, or maybe
Scholes very rarely sent off either.
But he was an absolute hacker and just somehow knew how to skate the exact line of getting sent off.
Who's good for these as well, and I give credit to Liverpool, Thiago. He's the dirtiest player in the Premier League by a country mile. That fucker is always
I think his fouls are like particularly like cynical, but I actually was surprised to see that he's like between like 100 and 150 in terms of most fouls.
That's because he doesn't play as much as other people, does he?
Yeah, but even like taking into account all the other players that are kind of mixed in and out as well, like, I thought he'd be much higher.
Yeah, he's a dirty bastard.
But just because you remember his ones, he pulls these funny faces after as well. So
yeah, he's a dirty old bastard. But anyway, fuck him. But anyway, in this fight, Assunção got knocked out. Another guy who's kind of been a yardstick in the division for a long time and probably on his way down now as well. A nice window for Ricky Simon. He got lovely right hook, lovely uppercut, lovely finish, good stoppage as well by the referee in this one. So yeah, I have no problem with that one at all, apart from the kick in the dick. Matthias Gamrot against Diego Ferreira. This one to me, the commentary was, and I didn't hear the commentary all night because I watched it back, which is a fucking relief. They were very, very complimentary of Ferreira in this one and saying nothing about Gamrot. I thought Gamrot was dominating this fight for large periods, to be honest. They were like, oh, he's slowing down in the second. I thought Ferreira slowed down an awful lot more. Like, Gamrot wants to fight a slower fight. So for him, the fight slowing down is actually an advantage. I thought it was a bit bizarre, but the finish, I don't know. I don't think it was, and maybe people came out in the press conference and said it afterwards, something that I didn't hear. They were saying it was the knee to the body. I actually think it was the takedown that hurt him, and maybe he hurt his hip or something. I don't think it was a knee to the body that actually finished him. What did you think, Graham? What did you think of the finish here in Gamrot?
I couldn't actually. I tried to look at the replays they were showing, and I thought it might have been like getting a leg caught under, or twisting a leg or an ankle or something, but I couldn't really see anything. So yeah, something must have popped or twisted or something, but I couldn't. In the replays they showed, I couldn't see what happened.
Yeah, look, a good win for Gamrot though. I think he was on his way to winning the fight anyway. And, he caused the damage, and when someone gets damaged and they can't continue, you win the fight. So, nothing wrong with that. It wasn't like, well, maybe it was a freak injury or something like that, but it didn't seem to be. I think it was either from the takedown, or maybe it was from that knee. Maybe he broke a rib or something like that. And if it was, what a fucking shot that was. So fair play to Gamrot either way, but, yeah. A good performance, if a bit of an odd finish. Then we had Cub Swanson versus Darren Elkins opening up the card. Unfortunately, Darren Elkins, Dean was reffing this fight actually, so I was expecting it to go on for maybe another 13 minutes or so, but Cub Swanson is a really bad matchup for Darren Elkins if we think about it. Like, he just throws so many shots early, so many different shots, and catches you an awful lot. And he just did. He caught Elkins over and over and over. Hurt him a couple of times, and Elkins came back. Herb gave him chances. But in the end, it was just too much. That wheel kick was absolutely beautiful, landed it. right on the money on the temple, landed a few shots after it, and look, it was a good stoppage by her, make no mistake about that. And a good win for Cubs fans. I know you're not the biggest Cub fan in the world, but I like Cub. I think
it's not that I'm not a fan of his fighting or anything. I just when people were kind of talking about how good he was, I just never agreed. Kind of like similar to Tony Ferguson. Like, I enjoy watching Tony Ferguson fight, and like I enjoy him as a personality sometimes as well and all that. But it's just the similar with Cub Swanson, where I just never rated him as highly as maybe a lot of other people rated him.
Yeah.
But in this fight, he did brilliant. You really got to put it on Darren Elkins to finish him. He showed how tough he is again. A lot of guys would have curled up in a ball or been knocked out from that barrage from Cub Swanson, and he kept trying and had to be saved by Herb Dean. And I agree with you, it was a good stoppage. We've seen Darren Elkins come back from a lot, but he took a lot of damage there, and it wasn't going to stop. So yeah, I think it was a good stoppage by Herb Dean. In fairness, he's made a lot of mistakes recently, but that was well done by Herb.
Two good stoppages and 2 cards. It's like, oh Jesus, Herb, it's not like you, but yeah. Usually refs have all good stoppages.
This award is giving him the confidence. It's a confidence game, refereeing the confidence, the momentum, recognition. It means everything.
God Almighty, if it is, we're in a bad we're in a bad place. But anyway, yeah, so good performance by Cub. Darren Elkins, he'll be back. Undercard then, it wasn't the best undercard in the world. Some good finish and things like that. The Melissa Gatto, Sijara Eubanks one was a nice body kick and finish. Sijara Eubanks kind of acted as if she wasn't finished and kept holding the leg. To Gerald Mershot rear naked choke against Stoffel. That was
good comeback. He needed a finish in the 3rd round. His corner told him that, and told him no more guillotines after he'd unsuccessfully gone for about 5. But yeah, he got the rear naked choke finish. Good come from behind victory. He may not be the best fighter, but he's definitely game and tough and keeps going. And fair play to him here. Justin Taffa as well.
What do you think of that finish?
With the blocked head kick.
Yeah. I see here in the Tapology to have a TKO KO head kick. How can it be a head kick KO when he never kicked him in the head?
Well, he kicked his wrists into his head.
He didn't kick him in the head. It should be a wrist kick KO, not a head kick KO. He did not kick him in the head.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's true.
This was
do you remember before? I think it was Josh Koscheck was a grounded opponent, and he I can't remember who tried to knee him, and he put his hand up and got kneed into his own head. It actually wasn't a foul, in my opinion, but it was given as a foul.
I remember that. Yeah, that used to be a massive thing at the time. I remember that. Yeah, that was Josh Koscheck is one of those forgotten men of MMA, and he was pretty good. He was probably the 2nd best welterweight in the world for a few years. But
the aliens are coming, Diego.
Fucking, what was your man's name? Oh God. What was the other lad's name? Your man that almost died making weight. You remember Josh Koscheck locked him in the sauna.
Oh God.
What was his name?
Somebody, Joe Lozon fought him and absolutely destroyed him. And what was his name? Oh God.
Chris. Oh, I don't know. You look it up. Look up Tough One cast there.
I can't remember. Find out.
But I'll talk another bit about this. Yeah, this Taffa one. I don't know. I don't know. Look, it's very easy for me to say here. I wasn't the one getting kicked in the wrists. But maybe one of the hands came on and he knocked himself out with his own hand. Maybe he didn't.
Sorry, you talking about Bobby Southworth?
Bobby Southworth is what I was talking about. Yeah.
Sorry, I had somebody else in mind.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a weird knockout to me. I'm not going to lie. I come on here and go, oh yeah, look, he got the power in that kick, even though it was blocked. It was bull. I don't know. I feel like he gave up.
He'd eaten a few other punches, and I think he kind of was like, "Get me out of here."
Maybe. I would agree with that. I think that was more than anything. Well, I've taken enough of him. Oh, he kicked me in the head. Oh no, I got knocked out. Yeah. This is low 5-3 against 7-5. This is low level heavyweight shit. So yeah, and people talking about UFC quality. This is what we're looking at with UFC quality. I don't know. Anyway, Charles Jourdain against Andre Ewell. I just kind of on in the background as I was watching KSW, but from what I saw, it was a pretty good fight. Charles Jourdain won the unanimous decision. I'm a big fan of Andre Ewell. I think he's a good fighter, and if you beat him, I think you're a good fighter as well. And I think that's exactly what Jourdain is. Pennington as well got a good guillotine choke in the 3rd round, or in the 2nd round. Sorry, good stuff from her. Nice KO by Dantele Melez, and Jordan Levitt got inverted triangle choke. I actually haven't seen that, but I love a bit of an inverted triangle.
What about, have you left the best to last here, yeah?
What am I forgetting?
The humping.
Oh, the humping. Who was that? Was that Dantele Melez, was it?
Yeah, Dantele Melez.
Get up.
Legit strikes.
Getting
that cup into his face and thrusting it.
Did you hear that? I put it out. Someone asked a question about that a few months ago on the Q&A. It's like, should someone, like, IB Freely is his name over on Twitter. He asked me the question on the Q&A. Should someone use their cup and their dick to land strikes?
Yeah.
Should they elevate?
Yeah.
Like, exact question.
You use it for arm bars, so you use the cup for arm bars, so why not use it for strikes?
I agreed with him. I 100% agreed. Do you know what I'll do? I'll clip the audio and I'll put it in right here. When in north-south position, the fighter on top should use his cup to annihilate the other fighter's face. Grind strikes may be prohibited, but strikes with the grind aren't, and fighters aren't taking advantage of it. I could not agree more. Dick punches should be allowed, and when I said dick punches, I mean punches with the dick, as IB Freely has put out there. But they should, though. When you're in that position and you have the cup, and that's a fucking weapon. Like, if you jumped up and fucking grind smashed the lad right in the fucking nose, I'm sure that'd hurt. I'm sure it'll hurt really bad. Like, you've seen people before putting their cup, like, right into people's faces and stuff. Yeah, use it as a strike. Smash it. I like that.
I'm not sure if it went out, the Meta game Speaker's Corner podcast. Is that kind of... We've discovered the new meta game.
The meta game, yeah. Dick punches to the fucking... And not dick punches with the dick. So, yeah, that's what MMA is all about. They were effective. They landed their effective strikes. So, very good thing. Dante Mays, I actually didn't even see the fight, to be honest, because I didn't know what I was doing. But, yeah, I'll go back and watch that because he's a fucking legend. Team Sheehan. If you're throwing dick punches, you're
changing the game. Changing the game. So, second prelim of the day of the night, heavyweight, and we see the game being changed.
Nothing changed with the game.
Fuck's sake. It's a bit humiliating as well, having that happen to you as well. Demoralising.
Oh, Jesus, imagine that. What'd you do last night? How'd the fight go? Oh, well, I got fucking dick punched in the face. Oh, not great. To be honest, the only way you can do that is if you win. He didn't even win then. He got fucking elbows or crucifix. Imagine if he'd finished him that way. What would it have said at the apology in Sherdog? It's like, TKO, dick punch. I know, I need that to happen. Cup to face, I don't know. Cup to nose. Anyway, Derek Lewis threw his cup out as well. I think someone else suggested someone should have filled it with beer and drank from it from the crowd. That would have been a bit disgusting. But anyway, KSW, let's finish it up on this. A good KSW card again. I'm sure, Sean Denny will be tweeting out about it and everything like that. The top 3 fights. Actually, Michael Keta won as well on the undercard. Robert Szymanski got a good win there, but Damian Stesiak lost a unanimous decision to Loam Ali. And the top 2, Daniel Torres against Saladin Paranas. I missed the middle of this because the KSW website went down, I think, or it went down for me anyway, and my internet didn't go down or anything, so I don't know what happened, but I don't think I missed much, to be honest. Paranas was just dominating this fight. Obviously, he lost to Torres in his last fight and came out and, put on a show here. Didn't really take much. Got put in his back a couple of times. But had a very safe, good performance, I think. And, he's going to move on now. 16-1.
Some good wins, Bushinger, Sowinski, Martin, I'm going to butcher all these Polish names, but he's also fought Morgan Charrier and beaten him. He's got some good wins on his record, and he's, what is he now, 16 1-1.
French MMA
24 years old. Yeah.
Big.
I think he's a real prospect.
Yeah, and if the UFC are going to France, I'm sure he'll be one of the first names they're looking at to sign him. Maybe KSW could go to France as well. They're always on about moving, doing different things in different places. So we will see with that one. But a great win from him here. I don't know if they're doing the trilogy now or not. Maybe not after the way Torres won the first fight. It was a legitimate knockout, but it was a bit lucky as well. Let's be honest. And in the main event, what a fucking fight this was. Mamet Khalidov might be the youngest 41-year-old man on planet Earth. He came out here and he was just light on the feet, landing his shots, moving all over the place. And I think he did that on purpose because obviously Soldic was coming up on weight, putting on muscle. He looked very, very muscular here. And there was a part, it was the second round, where I was like, and it was just before the knockout, I was like, Soldic is getting tired here. If this keeps going, if this goes longer, Khalidov
pressured up against the cage, you're like,
Khalidov might have this.
left out.
Yeah, and then just that, he landed a couple before it, and I was like, oh, maybe there isn't as much on those shots, and then I was like, well, maybe there fucking is, and he landed a massive left hook, as I predicted. I predicted the left hook KO. He landed it, and he put Khalidov to sleep, couple of coffin nails for good measure. Brilliant win, a massive win for Roberto Soldic. Moves on now. He says he wants to go up to light heavyweight and become a 3-weight champion. And you know what? You probably wouldn't rule him out. This guy is one of the best fighters in the world. KSW, Bellator, UFC, PFL, doesn't matter where. This guy is legitimate, brilliant fighter. I'd love to see him fight Sean Brady. I think that'd be a fucking brilliant fight. I'd love to see something like that. Just two absolute beasts going at it. But yeah, I hopefully he'll get to the UFC someday. I think, look, he's done a lot in KSW now, fought all of their best guys and stuff. Maybe he wants to, do you know what? I actually don't think going up to light heavyweight would be a good idea. Just because if you put on more muscle, it's going to be hard to get rid of that, to get back down to 170. So I think now, maybe leave it at that. Go back to 170, maybe having a couple of guys fights in KSW or not, or just, you know, if he can get to the UFC. I know he gets paid very well in KSW, and they all do. So maybe he's going to stay there. Maybe he's going to be a lifer like Khalidov. But, yeah, and for Khalidov, how about Khalidov versus Fedor? Let's make that happen. Come on, Bellator, sign him up for one fight. Fedor's last ever fight. Russia. I know Khalidov's fighting a middleweight here, but he can fight at heavyweight. Be grand.
Yeah, Fedor loves fighting people way smaller than him, way bigger than him. He doesn't mind. He'll fight anybody. You can be 9 foot tall, and he's like, yeah, whatever.
He'd have you out, yeah.
Fedor won't care, and Khalidov, fucking, he'll fight anybody as well. So.
Well, what do you think of this one? The Soldic is just, he's a beast, isn't he?
Yeah, and this is a really big win and a very impressive finish. And, you know, I'm not exactly sure how much KSW are paying their guys. Maybe Sean Denny, the encyclopedia of KSW, will know, but will know approximately. But, you know, it seems to be a lot because it is keeping these guys, you know, these guys aren't pushing to get into the UFC, so they seem happy enough here. But for the UFC, I think they'd be beneficial. You know, they could be big draws for UFC to go do shows around that area. You know, KSW have shown and how good the audience and the fan base is over there. So, you know, the UFC seem happy enough at the moment to do, like, you know, most of their shows in the Apex. But I'm sure once they get back on the road and kind of get back to normality, I'm sure, you know, they'll be looking at guys like this to sign. But, you know, it'll be interesting to see if KSW have the clout to keep them, because, you know, they don't want to be readying guys for the UFC, and they don't want their best fighters and champions going to the UFC. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Indeed.
Right, we will leave it there. So no card next week. There's a rising card coming up in 12 days time. I'm looking here in Tabology, and there's no card in. There's one championship, KSW, and UFC coming up in 27 days time. So it's a long way now before the next big card. This rising card is not bad. Kaya Sukara is on it against Tinta Takizawa. Nikai Inoue is on it, and a few more as well. But you know, it's not massive. So yeah, so that's basically it for us for the year. But we will be back obviously every fucking week with Patreon. With every Sunday we'll have a podcast as usual, and they're going to be really fun podcasts. Patreon.com/Severe MMA podcast. If you haven't signed up yet, it's a perfect time to do it. Buy it for someone for Christmas. You know, be a great Christmas present. If you forgot, if you're an MMA fan in your life, you go like, oh look, here's Patreon. There you go. I'll sign up and I'll pay it for you. It's only $5 a month. Here's a year-long Christmas present. There you go. So be absolutely fantastic. But thanks everyone for all the support during the year. You've been fucking brilliant. It's not like we're going away and we won't be back until fucking the end of January, but we'll be on every so often doing different things and talking and stuff. But we have a bit of a break now over Christmas as well, so much needed, and I'm sure everyone else needs it as well. Enjoy your Christmas. Be careful. Don't drink and drive or go fucking mad doing anything. You have to be in by fucking 8 o'clock anyway, so you can't do much. But thanks to everyone in Ireland, in the UK, in America, in Australia, Canada, all across the world. We've great listenership everywhere, and we really appreciate you. Graham, any words for the people before we go? Merry Christmas to everyone.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks for all the support. Thanks to the Severe MMA team for all their work this year, and to you, Sean, as well. A lot of work been put in, and we appreciate, obviously, everybody that supports us and watches and likes and shares all the content and all of that stuff. So, another good year in the books.
Thank you, Graham. Onwards and upwards for Severe, mates. Some great things happening, some great things coming, and long may it continue for real independent, proper journalism, as we're trying to do here on Let's Wonder Boys Fighting. So, yeah, we'll leave it there for the year. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Graham, do you have an inspirational quote to end us on?
I have a Morrissey quote.
Okay, go on.
A Smith's quote. Okay. If I seem a little strange, well, that's because I am.
Perfect. We'll see you next Sunday. It won't be Tuesday. It'll be Sunday. Good luck, everyone.